Daytoner. That is called Time, and it's from their new album, an actual album as well. I'm talking vinyl album here, which is called Remote Connections, and we have Moss and Lucy from Daytoner with us. How are you both doing?
Good, thank you.
Hello.
It's been lovely to have you actually physically in the studio.
I know, rather than Zoom.
Yeah, I know. But finally, we got the album.
Yes. Sorry it took so long. It's taken an age, but yeah, we got there in the end, thankfully.
A lot's happened since we started the album.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's taken an age?
It feels like a different world entirely.
Yeah.
Which I suppose it is, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, when we were out touring, every week and playing lots of festivals, and it was just part of the routine process, and then it all came to a grand halt.
Yeah, it does feel like another world, but focusing on the positives, very proud of what we've managed to achieve remotely, hence the title of the album.
Yeah, because we all had to do it individually, because obviously we're all isolated in lockdown, so we all had to sort of beaver away individually and then try and send each other bits and pieces, like a Zoom album.
Oh, God. How difficult was that?
There were lots of challenges, because obviously there were some people. We were fortunate. There were some people who had their own little home studio setups. So about half the band had their own little recording bits and pieces anyway.
And then there were people like me.
And then there were others
record by numbers
who hadn't recorded before, and certainly not in their home settings. So
No, it was all right. I was quite pleased with how it happened, how it came about, I managed to make it work. I think I borrowed a microphone off you.
Did, yeah.
I obviously had my own mic stand and everything else. So self-taught YouTube videos on how to record myself. And I think in some ways it was quite good that I was able to have an idea and write the lyrics and then record it almost straight away, and then send it off to you. And then,
wasn't your issue the neighbours, though?
No. Well, I had a little boy leaning out of his window one day, like waving at me, pulling faces out of his bedroom window, and then I was like, I should pull the curtain. That's quite distracting. But yeah, when you live in residential areas, I guess you have to be aware of the volume. But apart from that, it was quite good that we didn't have to kind of travel miles and miles, and you're able to just kind of have an idea and think, right, I'm going to go and record that now before I forget it. So and the pressure wasn't there. Like sometimes when you go into a studio and you record, suddenly the pressure's on, because I think, I've just driven down to yours, and if I don't perform it today, then I'm going to have to come back. And in your own home, you can just think, actually that wasn't very good, I'll scrap that and try again later. Yeah. So there's definitely pluses to doing it, and I wouldn't shy away from doing it again in the future. So
Is it the way of the future or not?
I don't think you can be getting all together in a space to record, because then you bounce off each other a lot more. So not having that was the difficult part. I do have to make a public apology to Jack, our trombone player, because when we mentioned this before, we said that he lived in a pokey flat in Falmouth recording trombone, and he's reassured us his flat isn't pokey, but actually quite nice.
Yeah.
So apologies, Jack. It's not a pokey flat in Penryn. I'm sure it's lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think just, we were all together to begin with, and a lot of the ideas we initially worked on were those ones where we'd all been together. And then as it evolved and we were doing new things, it was completely different, all being, individually isolated in our own homes and so on. But
we had the lockdown sessions that we did, which I think a lot of different musicians and bands did those anyway, just to keep creativity going, because the world stopped kind of as we knew it, and we wanted to keep the creative juices going. So I think we did about 4 lockdown videos, so we were able to kind of build on those ideas. And also other band members who would probably have been too busy to really commit so much time and creativity there, because they'd have been off doing gigs and working. Suddenly everyone had this amount of time, so we were all recording ourselves and switching it up and making funky videos, and that kick-started really pulling the album tracks together. We'd already got sort of Shout Love and My Sweet Baby, but then we were able to kind of build on that with Numbers, Jet Speed. We did Mother Nature as well, didn't we, the first one, and so there were a few that we did right in that way back before, but I think lockdown 1 was when it was all new and shiny and the sun was shining and it was like, oh, this is quite novel, and we were all doing it then, and that's when we started really getting the tracks together for the album.
Yeah, I think we came up with 5 ideas in those videos, and some of those have made the album and they've been properly recorded now. So yeah.
Did you do have you done a lot of these live before, or were they a few of them quite newly written for the album?
Yeah, My Sweet Baby and Shout Love were kind of older ones that we've performed before, but the rest we've not performed at all yet. So
but you can't wait, can you get out and do them now?
Yeah,
we'd love to, but it's all changed again, hasn't it, Lucy?
Oh, it has, yeah. So the small thing happened that I became a mum as well.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. I became pregnant last year, and then had my little boy Joan in December.
Hello, Joan.
Hello, Joan. If you're listening, he's only 5.5 months, so I keep telling him I did have a life before he arrived on the planet, but I'm not sure he's convinced yet, so he's not interested. But so things were put on hold. Some of the bookings that we had, obviously my priorities shifted and my focus shifted somewhat, so to be continued, I think, was what we are saying. It's not obviously that we don't want to do live shows in the future, but also we do live in a different world now where so some of the shows that we have been offered, festival organisers are struggling. We're asked to play in London for a couple of £100, and as a 6-7 piece band, it's just not viable with fuel prices, rental, van hire, really, staying overnight. We're not spring chickens, so not so much up for doing driving through the night on no sleep, and then going home to a baby. So it's kind of actually some of that is, it's not that we don't want to, it's actually the financially it being viable, I think, for 6 or 7 people to go to London for 200
some of the shows
used to £300,
we used to get off stage at 1 a.m. in Brixton and then drive all night to get home to Cornwall.
Yeah.
Wow.
So actually, you say we, it was mostly you, actually, driving.
Another coffee.
Yeah. Oh, I'll make it a double espresso this time. It's 4 a.m. But so I think there's a few different factors there, and I think that the music scene is has changed, and I think we'll have to see what happens maybe next year when it comes to live shows, but we're really keen to play the album live.
I think we're just going to see how this album goes, really, and see what level of interest there is and whether anybody wants to still hear Daytoner out there, but we shall see.
I'm sure they do. Stay with us. We'll talk some more in a minute. Let's play another track from the album. This is Keep It Moving. Daytoner, it's called Keep It Moving. Remote Connections is the name of their new album, and it is a vinyl. So you've gone the whole hog. You have to, really, don't you, the kind of music that you do?
I think so. And also, it's, I think everybody in our genre tends to make vinyl records because a lot of people into funk and soul collect vinyl records, like yourself, I suppose. And,
you're keeping my record collection going over the years. You have. It's been brilliant.
You're welcome.
We'll send you another in 6 months. But and that's what's been the major delay, because the album was ready to go a while back, but it's been the vinyl pressing plant delays that have caused the delay.
It's Adele. That's what it was.
Yeah,
apparently.
Apparently a lot of the plants that had capacity left were getting block booked by major labels and like major artists as well. But I remember somebody saying to me when I was trying to press it, normally takes around about 3 or 4 months to get the test pressing back and then the final product.
Does it really?
But on this occasion,
got the patience for that.
Well, normally it's not too bad, but when we were trying to press this in 2021, somebody said to me, "How does 2023 sound?" I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "It'll be 2 to 2.5 years to press it." And I said, is that just us, or is that normal? And they said, no, it's because, vinyl demand's gone up exponentially, and there's only a certain amount of plants that do it in Europe, and they've all been block booked by people like, Adele and Taylor Swift and so on, because they also want to be on vinyl. So little people like ourselves get pushed right down to the back of the queue.
So my new vinyl pressing plant in Redruth is going to open in...
Well, there you go. There's definitely a gap in the market.
New business.
Sure. Yeah.
God, well, I mean, yeah, they would have shut, wouldn't they, when CDs came in and most of the vinyl production was gone, but now we're in need of it again.
Yeah,
clearly.
and there's actually a few starting to open now. I saw one's opened in the northeast, so they're starting in a kind of a green way. They're open because it's kind of a bit of a dirty process.
Yeah.
So they're trying to sort of clean the whole manufacturing of vinyl up now, which is quite interesting. But yeah, new one's opening.
It looks nice though, doesn't it? Your album, don't you think? Are you pleased that you've had it done on vinyl?
Absolutely thrilled with it, really, because the design on the front is kind of ties in with a, if you'll pardon the pun, a local connection. Because we wanted to just represent the fact that we were connecting remotely, and Cornwall's got a bit of a rich history of that, really.
Yeah.
If you think of the Porthcurno Telegraph Museum, on the front cover here is the Marconi Towers that were built in Poldhu at the turn of the 20th century, and then you could even think of Goonhilly, the satellite dishes and the space programme, and now there's the spaceport at Newquay. So there's quite a rich history of remote connections in Cornwall, so we thought we'd try and tie into that on the cover. And
keep it Kerno, obviously.
Yeah.
Keep it Cornish.
And we got somebody to sort of recreate the design, and they sort of remade the design from old photographs and illustrations from Poldhu in 1902. So
nice.
You thought of doing a history podcast?
And next week on Sunday, and
history of communications with Moss.
Yeah, and we got it all sort of 3D modelled as well. Some clever people made it.
It's very nice.
So that should we play on a stage with an LED screen in future, we can have these towers rotating in 3D behind us, and
that's going to be
really proud of
great.
it.
That's going to be great.
It's definitely the prettiest vinyl that we've got.
Probably because I haven't done it.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything.
No, I'm really thrilled with the artwork, and big thanks to Mark at Cursor Media for doing that. He's done a fantastic job, so thank you.
So when are you going to go out and play it live?
Very good question. We don't know. We do still keep getting offers, thankfully, so it's very kind of people to ask us to perform, but I think we just couldn't say for certain at the moment. Is that fair, Lucy?
Yeah, I think when we were kind of looking at going out and about in sort of April, I was still very much in that postpartum phase, and anyone that's got children will know that can be a bit of a daze. We had a few complications with the baby and stuff at the beginning, so I just wasn't really in a place to kind of go out off and leave him and be on stage, really. But I'm definitely feeling more like I'm ready for it now. So yeah, I think if anyone wants to book us, then
answers on a postcard.
Get in touch. But I think as time's progressing, and obviously if there is the interest there with the new album, and we get that feedback, is what we're kind of looking for in a way, isn't it? To kind of say, this is work, because it is a lot of effort, and it is a lot of, kind of getting, like we were saying, when you live in Cornwall, wherever you go to perform, invariably you've got to travel, and so it is that sort of effort and the kind of organisation of that. I think if it's worth it if people want to hear your music, and I think before the pandemic, I'd hate to keep saying that, but the feedback we had from festivals kept us going, no matter how tiring it was, no matter how the fact that every weekend we were stuck on the M5 pretty much on a Friday and then coming back on a Sunday, and you kind of sacrifice a huge chunk of your summer, but you did it because the feedback that you got from the audience was kind of addictive in a way, and everybody loved the music, and I think that's kind of stopped because it had to stop, because we weren't playing, we weren't going out and doing live performances. So I think if we can get the feedback that people want to hear us play live again, then it's got to be worth.
I think we'd love to bounce back, but I guess that's down to whether people want to hear it or not. So, we'll see how it goes with the LP, and if it's, if there seems to be some demand for us to perform, I'm sure we'll consider it.
Okay, where can we get it from?
Bandcamp, so daytoner.bandcamp.com, and then as of June the 10th, it'll be in all sort of independent record stores.
Fabulous. We're going to give away a couple tomorrow, I think.
Yes, please.
On the show, aren't we?
Yeah.
So that's very kind of you. You're going to leave us a couple of signed ones.
Yes. There's actually...
Is there a surprise inside as well?
There's a single inside as well, a signed single. So there's the LP that's signed and the single signed inside. So
Yeah.
2 for the price of 1.
Fantastic. All right, we'll do that because it's our last day of Record of the Week tomorrow, which will play another track from Remote Connections tomorrow, and you can grab yourself a copy of that tomorrow on the show. It's been great to have you both in.
Thank you so much.
Can you
Thank
just crank the Randy meter for me? It's a big lever just there. If you can just press it for me, that'll be great. Lovely, thank you. Right, Catherine, is it all working?
Yes, just about. Still needs oiling though, doesn't it?
Just a little bit greasy, isn't it? Right, okay, the dust has settled. Have you got somebody?
I have.
Fabulous. The music quiz is coming up shortly. Great to see you too. And we'll see you on stage sometime soon, hopefully.
Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.